Hi, everybody. I'm Jen.
Hi, I'm Renee.
And we have our friends, Esther and Jon Graham. Yay! Hi, guys.
Hey, I'm
Everybody.
John.
Hey.
She's Esther.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about where you live, how long you've been married, and what you guys do.
Well, we live in Delaware.
Lower, slower.
Yeah. And we've been married for 32 years in March. Right? We're 32 and a half years, something like that almost. Right?
Yeah.
And what do we do?
Oh gosh, I think it's easier to say what we don't do, right? But so yeah, seems like if we're always busy, we're always doing things. My background is in education. Um, and of course, I have my master's in organizational management and project management. So once I left the school system, I decided to open up my own early childhood center. So I have now two early childhood centers, and of course, I'm a coach. A speaker, and just have my kind of hands in just about everything. So that's what I do. I'm a pastor's wife because he's a pastor. So we pastor a church here in Delaware. What's that?
You gave that away.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's basically in a nutshell. In a nutshell, that's what I do. So I totally love it. Of course, there's always challenging times, but I totally love it. So we kind of work on the pastor piece. We do that together. In my early childhood piece, I'm the main person, but he's always there to support, right? And I always also do some consulting for the state as well. And so kind of have, but all based around education and leadership, and some business development as well. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So much there. So much there to play with. First off, Delaware. How fantastic is that, right?
Yeah.
And how is, okay, we don't know when we're going to post this, but we just, assuming it's going to be fairly timely. We're now in the month of June 2020, and we've been going through COVID. Is your state reopened? What is going on with your state? Are you really, what I want to know is, are you able to like go anywhere you want? And are you able to reopen your child care centers? Are you able to reopen your church? And if not, how have you guys been pivoting? What's going on?
So I'll speak about the child. I'll let him speak about the church. So Delaware just went into phase one in June 1st. And so, of course, on June 1st, our stay in shelter was lifted. And of course, then we got a curfew because of all, the protests going on. And but the stay in shelter has been lifted. We actually go into phase two on the 15th of June. So in phase one, we are still open, only essential personnel as well, just essential. In phase two, in terms of the early childhood center, we can accept those who have to work. So like right now, there's some places that are open, but in the 15th, more places will be open. Restaurants and those places, but there is, of course, very strict guidelines because, Delaware, we're on the East Coast, right? And so we're right, there's Delaware, Pennsylvania is right there, New Jersey, New York. So we're only like 2.5 hours. So we have really strict guidelines. And so when the center opens, we don't have to, but we can begin to take children back on the 15th. However, both parents must be working. So if you have a parent that's not working, you still have one that's not back at work, that child cannot come in because they're still trying to keep it very limited and you still have to do your social distancing. Parents can no longer bring their children into the center. They have to be greeted at the door, and then you take their child at the door, and bring them in. Then when it's time for them to leave, they take them to the door. All staff has to wear the face coverings. And as much as possible, you have to keep that 6 feet social distancing, even with the children. How that's going to work out, I don't know. But what they've also said is that you cannot go back to full capacity as yet. for the early childhood center. So for example, if you have one classroom that have up to, let's say, 20 children, you could, all the classroom sizes can only be 15 maximum. So that for a lot of places can cut things down, in some cases half, half of, the families that you serve. So we still have to work out those kinks and figure out, and then prioritize. And, of course, families have to certify that that they are both family members are working, and of course, and that they're essential. So we still have some pretty stringent guidelines. And of course, here in Delaware, it's against the law to be outside without your face covering. You cannot go into any store. It's against the law, yes.
Because they have, in California, they have said wear those face masks, but it's recommended. And so
No, it's not recommended here. You must wear it. And if you're out and without your face covering, you could probably maybe be in your neighborhood and walk without your face covering. But if you're out and about in public, you cannot go into any store that's open without a face covering. They will not allow you in, period. And so, and they're still only allowing so many people to come into the store at a time.
No mask, no service.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're still kind of,
Yeah. Okay. So let me just acknowledge, Esther, what you're going through. You have 2 centers.
Yes.
You have rent or a mortgage. You have business budget and staffing based off of a certain capacity.
Yeah.
Oh baby, you are in an industry that has really been ravaged by COVID.
Yeah.
So sorry. I feel for you. We've done the math. We're actually going to talk about churches a little bit, because we actually rent our dance space. We host our dance parties at a church, at our church.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're using the fellowship room as our dance place, and it's perfect, right? But because dancing, especially since we do partner dancing, West Coast swing, we're touching each other a lot. We're sweating each other a lot. But, if we don't know what the rules are going to be, because dancing is going to be one of the last things that comes back on. And we haven't seen anything in California yet allowing churches to come on. Now, the churches have been pivoting by doing online. And I was sure that you're able to pivot a bit, sort of, but you are dealing with early childhood. And I mean, but we've done the math. If we're only allowed, say, for example, 5 couples, that's 10 people. If 10 people are allowed in a room, we're 2 of those people. So that's really only 8 paying customers. That doesn't cover the rent.
Yeah.
The insurance, the music licensing that we have to do, ASCAP, SASAC, BMI, paying our staff, water for everybody, So in some ways we're like, it's the hobby that pays for itself. So we're lucky.
Yeah.
And we don't have to do this. We can, and then also too, the other challenge is, do people feel comfortable coming back? So you've got the state regulations, the reduced head count, but your mortgage and your rent and all your expenses, holy crap.
No, that doesn't reduce. Yeah.
Hi, honey. So John, what's going on with you? What's happening in your world?
So, I, as Esther said, I pastor. So we have the church to be concerned about. I also do real estate. So,
which is also hit, but not. I mean, how does that go?
Yeah. So you can still show houses, list houses, and everything like that. However, a lot of the sellers don't want to have that traffic through their homes, so you kind of put that on hold for a while, and buyers as well. Now everyone has to be masked, but at the beginning only we needed to be masked and have gloves, and clients couldn't touch anything, that sort of thing. Now, as far as the church goes, so it didn't really affect in a negative way real estate for me, but as far as the church goes, we are, as of the 1st, the doors are open. You can. We did not, right? But you can go back in. But the
You
rules are.
clearly didn't want to be worried about if anyone contracted it while under your care. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how.
Yeah. So and I really believe that that's every pastor's responsibility to, to pray and to hear from God concerning, his flock, that congregation. So and so until God says yes, then we're gonna continue as we've been doing for the past couple of months. But
There's rules for
the
that.
rules, even going in, are 30% capacity. Right?
Ooh,
The capacity is, 30%. And if you have multiple services, after each service, there has to be a total wipe down, clean up, and everything like that. So, so that and services, which for us isn't much of a problem, but for some churches it is, because services are limited to 1 hour, right? Which, So
everyone
we're,
likes fellowship. They want to hang out all day.
yeah,
right?
yeah. So the service itself is limited, and after the service, there's no gatherings or anything like that. And the children are counted in that 30%, because usually the children would be over in children's ministry in a different section, but no children's ministry, no children's church or anything like that. So everyone has to be in the same building. Our kids kind of like to run around and that sort of thing, and you have to be concerned about the elderly as well. People that
Iris. Yeah.
It's tough because, like, when you're opening up churches, restaurants, or gyms, one of the things we heard when we went to one of our local little places that we hang out to have breakfast, they said that such things as like plastic or silverware, it all has to be bagged. It all has to be bagged. It has to be packaged, nothing open.
You can't just hand somebody a fork. You have to hand them a little package with a fork, knife, and a spoon.
And you think about the spaces that you're in, then
Little
I'm starting
stuff.
to think about this, like your air conditioning or fans.
That's right.
They can't
You
be
can't
on
have the fans on
because
anymore.
it'll blow around,
Mhm.
whatever someone's breathing out. And I know for us, restaurants are scheduled to open up. Gyms and schools.
Gyms, schools, the Monterey Bay Aquarium finally is allowed to open up.
So
on
yeah,
the
I guess
12th.
we're like in the phase 2 or 3.
We're
Yeah.
I think I'm losing track. I don't even know what day it is anymore, let alone what phase we're in. You feeling it? So, okay, all right. So I wanna ask this. Wow. Esther's career, John's career is hanging in there, and then you have the church. That's a huge hit, guys. And you've been together for 32 years. How are you managing the stress? I can only imagine what you guys are facing. How are you coping?
Well, I don't hit her back when she hits me, so I'm just kidding.
That was the most honest answer ever.
Yeah.
That's why I've been married for so long. I think that's pretty awesome.
No, she doesn't hit me.
I don't hit him.
No.
Really, honestly, guys, it's just really our faith in God, and our trust and our trust in what and in whom we believe. And so I really think it's our faith that really has carried us through. And so, we really have no complaints. I think part of the biggest part of it is when he's not used to me working from home.
Right.
In my company, even with real estate, we work from home.
He works from home.
CXP, so.
Right.
Yes. And so at the beginning, we kind of had to navigate the space in terms of, he's not used to me. And so I come down and sometimes I'm on a conference call or whatever, and I forget that he's working. I'm like, oh, and so we just had to kind of define our space. And of course we have our daughters, our kids that are home, because my daughter, they shut down the rotations and all of that before, and so she had to come back here, but she's still online. And so it was just too funny as we all tried to navigate, So we have an office upstairs, but I turned my dining room into my office space.
Yeah.
For a little, so we could all have our own space to work. I think that was, you see,
Yeah.
smiling.
Then our son, he decided that he wanted to come home to spend some time with mom and dad from San Antonio, and he works from home, and he's not quiet.
So
yeah, we established, we kind of I was saying earlier that you remember that game Space Invaders? Space Invaders, yeah. So she was like a space invader when she came to work from home. So we had to work that out. So we have our areas kind of designated, and sometimes you just kind of flow. Whoever kind of gets the first call, and you take a space. If you go there and you see them there, it just kind of okay. We've got other spaces to go to, so we've kind of worked that out, and
they
we
really
work the
kind of
schedules out as well.
allowed me to in the dining room, because I'm a spread out person, so I have
the dining room table.
The whole, I've got things spread out. This is this pile, and so I think though that was the hardest piece, to where it just kind of became funny. It's like, okay, I'm in your space, and so.
So we've mastered the hand and arm signal.
Yeah.
That's important, I bet.
Yeah. It was so funny, because we all had it worked out pretty good, and then our son, who when their stay-in shelter was lifted, ours is still on, so he called and said, hey, you guys, can you, because he's in San Antonio by himself, and so he said, you think I could just come home for a little bit and just check in? I said, well, yeah, you just got to stay quarantined, but anyway, so he came, and he works from home as well, and oh my gosh. And so the first day he's working, and he's on like one conference call after the next, and we're hearing him. Or it was like the second day,
she felt like I felt when she came home and started working.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I can't get, all I'm hearing is so it was too funny. We're like, okay, where are you going to be working? Let me go to another spot. But I think,
yeah, same thing happens with us to a certain extent. I work in my room, which is basically just as a 2-bedroom place.
Yeah, we're only in 900 square feet, and we are sitting in what would traditionally be the dining room as well. But it's a very open space. Like I can see the entire, except for the wall that's blocking his room, I can see the entire apartment.
And that's where my office is, in the opposite
He's
room.
got a door though.
Yeah, and if I have to get up, I do have to close my door.
Because I'm loud.
Just because, well, it's just a matter of like,
I'm
how busy we are here.
And
It's like when we do, we also do a show on Saturday nights for our dance community. It's online. And
again, like this,
we break it up to where she's here and I'm on my room, but I've got to close the door, just because of the spacing. And I think it's just a matter of like having the clarity, right? So
it is. It really is.
Yeah.
It is a matter of having the clarity and just kind of also respecting each other's space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know, because sometimes I'll stay in my bedroom and I'll work upstairs in my bedroom as well. And I've got it to where, I could work. And so when I am, then he comes up and he'll realize I'm working, then he may go, somewhere else. So I think it's just having that clarity and that staying flexible and fluid, you know what I mean? And so we just kind of, we just make sure that we're staying out of each other's way. And so, and of course, with our home, no one could come over anyway. So, I've got the whole, we're not using the dining room.
Not like a dinner party.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the kids, they're probably like, yeah, we're home and mom's cooking. Yes.
Dad's
Okay. Yeah. That also what kind of makes it work well because he cooks, and so when he retired from the military, because yeah, I love it. Isn't that great? It's so awesome.
Really? You
And
too,
so-
Renee?
Just anything I can throw in a pan, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I cook usually about 2 or 3 meals, so like 2 or 3 recipes. That's all I got.
That's okay. We love it. It's all good. It's all good.
I mean, listen, I'm grateful, right? So he loves to cook ever since he retired from the military, and then after retirement he's been at home. But with my job, I was still traveling, quite a bit. But it's like in the last 3 years or so,
3 years.
he's really just gotten into. He's always liked to cook, right? So, but he would cook every
I do it
once
like
in a while.
2 or 3
know?
times a year.
But now, for the past 2, 3 years, he's been cooking every day, trying all these types of recipes, and it is
That's
phenomenal. Yes.
Family.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little jealous. Okay. So here's where we're at on the cooking. This is laughable. You are welcome to laugh. I am a horrible cook. I'm just really bad.
She's not horrible.
No.
Wait till I tell my brownie story. Yeah.
Oh.
Let's just put it this way. I think I have to throw the pan away because the brownies are so brick-like. So
She undercooked them, and then she decided to put them back in, and now they're overcooked.
Oh. That happened.
and, and prior to COVID, here's how we did it. Okay, prior to COVID, now he started working from home in 2019. So we got over that hump for a year before all this stuff happened.
Yeah.
But prior to him working from home, let's just say 2018 and prior, I'd work from home, and I'm a very social person, but we didn't have all the Zoom stuff going on. I mean, nothing like what we got now.
Yeah.
And I would be craving. I'd be home alone. Everybody on my team works remotely. We're writers. You don't need to be in the same office to write. In fact, no, go home and have some quiet time, because that's the only time we're going to be able to create, right? So by the time he would get home from the commercial printing shop, I'm like, let's go out. So we would go out for pretty much every single meal. And so the budget was, I'm not ashamed to say, the budget was approximately $1,500 a month for going out, which, for 2 people, it's pricey. My grandmother would tease me a lot, but I'd be like, it's what we do, and it's our thing. And then COVID happened, and the budgets are, so the budgets is like, okay, well, we got to cut back. So we started cooking, but still, he's much better than I am. Like he actually adds flavorful things to the recipe.
Yeah.
So whenever it's way better than mine. But I'm a subsistence.
That's how I feel with him. He's a really good cook.
No, I cook
Yeah.
often. She cooks better than I do. She just doesn't.
Listen, so I have to tell you. So we had this joke, right? He would tell our congregation. Well, if he would tell him every once in a while, he'd say, "Well, I used to tell my wife, man, you cooked a really good meal today." And he said, "Now I tell her, man, you picked a really good restaurant."
That's how it is. We were doing about 1,000 a month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's true. It's like it's interesting for us non-cooks. Okay, we appreciate and love you guys who cook. Oh yes. That's why I was really good at getting invited over to people's houses and eating their cooking, because I do dishes.
Yeah. Now that you would definitely be a person to come over.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So when we come visit you in Delaware, I know what my role is.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, that's how we usually get invited back. We've got friends in Maui, and they know that every time that Jen and Renee stay at their house, that Jen cleans the kitchen and she cleans the whole house, and then we get invited back every time.
Excellent
cool.
guess, right? Excellent guess. Yeah. But
That's
it's yeah. What's interesting about that is that you really, couples have to make it work for them.
Mhm.
You know what I
Not
mean?
yeah.
And so if you're able to compromise and this really kind of just look at, okay, this is my, so to speak, my role and your role, but just like this is what I do, and sometimes just interchanging and just having that clarity and that understanding. I think that's what really also makes a marriage work in business, personal, and everything, ministry, everything,
Yeah, and some
Yeah.
people don't understand why we do it and why we do it the way that we do
Yeah.
it, because it works for us.
Yeah.
And their concept is everybody's supposed to, do it this way. The woman's supposed to be
No.
the cook, the cleaner and all of that sort of stuff like that. But that doesn't work for us,
Yeah. No, it
So,
doesn't. Even in church, the traditional role of the pastor and his wife, that traditional role doesn't work for us. So we're very like my role, it's just very untraditional. Let's
every
say.
now and then I
Yeah.
have to put my foot
Yeah. Every now and then. But I mean,
down.
but yeah, so and that's just kind of like what works for us. And it doesn't mean that you don't have challenges. Again, while at the beginning of COVID, it wasn't that great of a challenge. We kind of adapted, but it could have easily pivot to like, you're in my space, or you understand, it could have really, yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate like the flexibility, because
Yeah.
I had, I don't want to say, so I went in the military when I was 18.
Oh yeah,
So
which
I was in the Air Force. Yeah.
Air Force?
Yeah.
Excellent.
I had 18 years of yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and then I joined the military and I had another 20 years of that. Right. So rigid,
Yeah.
right? And now I kind of like the fluidity and the flexibility a little bit more. So
Nice.
Imagine that as rigid, as we've been married the 32 years, with him being very rigid, right? And me, the total opposite of being, rigid. And so, you talk about marriage and business and all those things. Again, it's just that coming together and deciding, what's priority for you, what's most, important for you. So now I think
what are your non-negotiables?
yeah, what are your non-negotiables? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so there's some things that I know that this is how he is, and okay, so that's it, and vice versa. So I think that's a lot with it. And then in business, he supports me a lot. He's my maintenance coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With real estate, I'm sure you've got a lot of contacts of people who can come in, fix something, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, which is
why not? Yeah, use that talent.
Yeah, and really, and it does, because if we need something done, I'll just really, call him, and then he's got the contact, and he'll go ahead and coordinate that and do all of that for me. So that really works out, well. It really does.
Good thing it doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't. But when it does, I mean, it's almost like you go into cycles where everything is good. Then the next cycle is like everything is wrong. On the phone, oh, you got to come.
It's like when it rains, it pours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Murphy's Law at that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how we kind of do it. He did his 20 years. One of the things that he always said is after his 20 years, was for him to support me in my career. And so, I was traveling a lot with my jobs in corporate America and in an education system. So I traveled really quite a bit, so much after a while, I just said, okay, that was enough. I mean, I was gone probably out of 30 days, probably about 15 to 25 days out of
payback.
Yeah, traveling, all the time. And so, but he has always been really good at just really supporting that, and he always said, no, this is my job to support, because the 20 years that he was gone. So it's always, I guess we've just always kind of worked that out. Not that there weren't challenging times. I would never tell you that, because there has been challenging times, you know, to where we're like, look, you know, we're like, you know,
knocking heads.
you know, just like we can't agree on this, you know, or we can't, you understand what I mean? And those are the things that you just have to sit and talk through and work it out. If that means that you have to walk away for whatever until you can come back and really just talk about it and just
Work it out.
work it out.
Well, I'm sure that your congregation sees this awesome couple leading them, and they probably want to be just like y'all, right? They probably come to you a lot. Do you find that you do a lot of marriage counseling?
Yes, we actually had well, you know, we've kind of put it on hold, but we have a marriage ministry called Project One because marriage is a project. You know what I mean? And
I love it.
yeah, so we do counsel couples. We only do, well, I don't want to say only. We try to only do from our congregation.
Yeah.
You know,
We have
that sort
others
of thing,
that
but
come
we do
to
have
us.
others that we work with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll work with them. But I think one of the things too, babe, is that we're very transparent with our congregation. We're very transparent in our marriage ministry. We're just, you know, and we'll tell them, you know, this is the real deal. I'll talk about when I thought about getting a divorce, you know, and he'll talk about
Which time?
which time. That's so true. It's so true. It's like, okay, which time is this? Yeah, it's listen, truth. That is so true. It's so true. It's like, okay, that's it. I'm done with you. You know, you know, and so but then he also talks about how he's never once wanted to get a divorce. Yeah. Yeah, he's never once. And so because of, you know, and so you know, you just work it through. You work it through. And so for me, although yeah, there were times I felt like getting a divorce, by the time you're not being, you said, okay, no, this is, you know, this, we just have to work through this. And so that's really what we've done.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. I'm so proud of you two. Yeah. And you know, I'm sure there are a lot of couples that stay together because of the kids. There are various reasons. I mean, my parents were married for 52 years, and that's incredible. You know,
Yeah.
good Catholic family, right? You know, follow those rules. And when I had the starter marriage, I was very ashamed to get a divorce because I felt like somehow I had failed.
Yeah.
And then I went through it, and I remember I told my parents that I wanted to get a divorce, and they were like, "Oh, thank goodness, we don't really like him." I thought they were going to disown me. No, they were really happy. They're like, "We're here to support you." I'm like,
What happened to you? Where are my real parents?
Yeah. What?
I went through my cycle of, you know, being a single gal again, and then I met this Mr. Wonderful in a dance class. I'm like, "Oh, I have to introduce you to the parents because all the friends are giving me the green light that you're the cat's meow." And then I remembered when I brought him home to Florida. It was like my 20th high school reunion.
Oh, that's right.
And I
Yeah. So
brought,
I'm going back.
you know,
and
he loves me if he attends a class reunion. Like, you know, that's love right there. 'Cause he didn't have to. We weren't even married yet. We were just dating.
yeah, I remember I was there, and we went to her 20th reunion, and there's a dance, and I met, you know, her best friend, whose name's also Jennifer, and we're kicking back with this guy, and like, you know, oh, where's your husband? Oh, my husband's back home with the kids. That was her friend, and then like he asked me like, you know, oh, so you two, how long have you been together? He's like, oh, we're dating. He's like, what are you doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
My dad put his hands on my shoulders. He says, "I like this guy. He takes good care of you. I can trust him." And I was just like, okay, all right. I had to go through the starter marriage to appreciate the dream marriage.
No, it's true though. That's so true. That's true. I mean, this is the same thing with me. I was married for like, I don't know, maybe a year. I don't know, maybe two. Years
Maybe.
ago, maybe, you know. And honestly, when I decided to get a divorce, I didn't tell my parents because my parents, you know, all my sisters, like my sister and I, we were talking yesterday when we were together. Her and her husband on July 8th will be married 48 years. My other sister will be married 52 years. I mean, so there's longevity. And so I was really, I was, I didn't want to do it. My brother been married for, I think 50, they're all like really, long. And so, cause they're all older than I am. And so I quietly went and got a divorce. I had my best friend go with me. And so I got a divorce, and then it took me a while to finally tell them, what mom and dad, because of course my parents were pastors as well. And so I said, I got a divorce. The amazing thing is when I told them is that they were upset that I didn't tell them so they could support me.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? They were, and they said, you had to do what you had to do. And so that was the amazing things. And so, when you're talking about marriage and even the longevity of it, again, it just goes back to, you have to know yourself and to know what back then, and it took that to get to where I am now. But, there's some things that's just non-negotiable. You understand?
Right.
And you have to kind of really determine what that is, and how can you, and is this something that you can overcome? Is this something that you can work through? What is it exactly that you can do? And really back then, when I first got married, I wasn't going to be tolerating a whole bunch of stupid stuff. You know what I mean? But, but that was like, not that you do stupid stuff, babe, but.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the first one.
Yeah, I am. I am talking
okay.
about the first match. The stupid, yeah, the stupid stuff. And there were some things that was happening in that short time that, I just wasn't healthy for me. You understand what I mean? And so before I got way too deep, it's like, no, I can't. I know I cannot survive like this.
Right.
You understand? And so those are the decisions that really.
Yeah, you listen to your compass, and you're like,
Yeah,
okay. And so you're
exactly.
that compass. So you've been looking at that compass throughout your whole life, going,
Mhm.
is this the right decision? No, I gotta work this out.
Yeah, exactly. And with Jonathan, the times, as he always says, which times that I thought about, and I yell out, in anger, "Oh, that's it, we're getting a divorce." There were never good reasons when you look back in hindsight. I mean, because if they were never anything that's not, let's just sit and talk this through. Let's do our love languages. You know what I mean? We did the 5 love languages. Let's do and so I think that one of the reasons that we call marriage a project, because it's a project. It's something that you work on
continuously.
I love that you
Yeah.
that is really, really cool. How did you just, because of your own stuff, that you came up with that, or who came up with the idea of project? Because that's cool.
Jonathan did. Yeah, he's the one. And I think it's because of our own. It's because of, this is a project. So Jonathan is really the one that came up. He doesn't even remember, but we were sitting, I remember, but we were sitting and we were talking about the marriage ministry, and we just had a heart because we saw so many young couples and, getting divorced, and some of them are just in disarray. And some of it is like, really, this is like really, because there are some things you're like, okay, yes. And then there's other things like, let's see if we can work through this. You understand what I mean? Especially if it's not emotionally abusive, physically abusive, those type of things. And so we were talking. He's like, yeah, it's a project. And then he started saying, I think it should be called Project One. And that's how because you're working on the project to become one.
Brilliant. Oh my gosh, so smart.
So,
well, I hope that circumstances allow you to relaunch that, because I'll tell you something. In these times when couples are lacking the skills to negotiate, compromise, figure out whose responsibilities are what in these challenging times, now more than ever. Are you able to do it online?
Yeah, we are. Yeah. We even did a 30-day challenge with Nikki and her husband, Real Talk, Real Marriage, where we just kind of wanted to, and we did it at the beginning of COVID because we knew that couples were coming together, and it's going to be like,
Yeah,
You know,
headbutting time.
it's just like, did you guys see that one? I don't know if you saw it. It was going around, I don't know, on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw one.
I didn't see
He
that.
hasn't seen it. Which one was it?
What happened?
Are you with Real Talk, Real Marriage, or there's this, well, the Real Talk, Real Marriage is on Facebook. We haven't done the challenge anymore, but we're going to start back doing something with it once a week. Okay, so we're taking like a way long rest. But
We're actually really, praying about, about coming back together with it, and what and allowing the Lord to show us what everybody actually needs, and and how we need to present it.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to rush back
Yeah.
into it.
and to really be able to help couples at a cellular level, in a real level. This is real.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice.
so we have real issues, real problems, and then but there's also real results and real joy and real peace and real happiness
Real resolutions.
and real resolutions that you can have in your marriage with the spouse that you fell in love with how many years ago. You know what I mean? And so that's the goal of it. And so as life begins to change and we have to pivot in so many areas, not working, finances is one of the largest things that can break up a family. Finances, right? Communication and lack thereof. Those are the things that could really, just put stress on a marriage. And then of course, if you've got children involved, that could be additional stress.
Big time.
Big time. And so how are you able to navigate through all of that and really be happy? Not just be, I'm just dealing with it. I'm just here, I'm just dealing with it, I'm just going to go through it, but really have peace and joy in it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we always make sure that we do with our busy schedule is we have our date nights.
Friday night.
Friday
Tell us
night.
Y'all do.
Friday night date night. So we'll do well, of course now we may have a movie night in the living room, but usually, just go out to eat. One of the things that we want to do is go do we both want to learn ballroom dancing.
Yeah, we've been looking. We've been looking. We've been looking. Nowhere in Delaware.
Yeah.
I think the closest
Maryland.
place we found it was in Maryland.
No way.
Well, we'll
That
be
is
happy
so
to
bizarre.
do some online classes with you if you want to learn West Coast swing. We are kind of a one-trick pony, but we can like fake it all the other.
We want to learn the East Coast swing. No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Good joke. Yeah.
I want to, want
Oh
to
yeah,
dance.
we learned this.
So we learned this. So
Wanna dance?
Okay.
Baby, like a baby goes, I want. That's wanna, and then dance. So it'd be like.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been wanting to, because couples need to do things like that.
Yeah.
That bring them joy. That's minus the children, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you have children, many times when you have children, the children become first. The issue with that is that eventually they grow up.
And you're like a gulf apart.
And then you guys are far apart. And then what do you talk about? What do you do? So how can you still remain very married, very present, even with your children? So we would encourage, if they have young children, have your time, have family time, and then have your time.
Yes, and it's funny.
You and your spouse.
I'll tell you something. What's really kind of cool. We started the West Coast Swing Dance Company in 2010, and I noticed something. The people that really did come to class and they really, truly stuck it out and enjoyed learning from us, they were in a form of transition. And the dancing was a way for them to either turn over a new leaf with their health, a way to get back into the world after losing a spouse due to death or divorce, or they're new to the area and they wanted to get to know more people, or a new job, some kind of something transitional going on in their life that they're like, all right, I need to get out. We had one guy who had major, major health issues. He was in the hospital for years. And when his mother died and he finally got out of the hospital, he says, I am going to devote my life to having fun.
Yeah.
Dance class. And he was so dogged in his determination to learn how to dance well. And today he's got, well, not today because nobody's dancing right now, but prior to COVID,
Yeah, yeah.
a line of women lining up out the door because he's gotten so good. And I'll tell you something with us. So when we met in dance class, June 3rd, 2007. And I remember because I was like, oh, hello. He didn't notice me. At least I didn't think he noticed me, but he really did. But like, I was like, oh, hi. How are you?
Hello,
I was like, oh, tall, dark, and handsome. Hello. So, so we became friends, and I was like, hey, I kind of like you. But like, yeah, I mean, I was new to the area, and I nested, and I wanted to like, get my house in order, which is the same apartment that we are in.
Yeah.
And then I went to dance class, and I'm like, oh, hello. And then we became friends, and it was kind of like he was working, I was working, and I was kind of coy. I was like, I was busy with work. He was busy with work. He goes, are you going to go to dance class? I said, well, I'll go to dance class if you pick me up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you're like, ooh.
He's like, oh.
Like, okay.
Renee said, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cute, because then we would eventually get married in that same ballroom that we met at.
Awesome.
A dance part of the wedding thrown in.
Yeah, it was pretty much that. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if you go to YouTube, you'll see our first dance as a married couple. If you look up Renee and Jennifer wedding dance, you'll find it. Yeah.
Okay. We'll look it up. Yeah.
But you're right though. Like there are so many couples that have their children got married. Now they're empty nesters and they want to rekindle. So congratulations, you're in the perfect spot, guys. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen that a lot of marriages got strengthened through dance, and I'll tell you why. It's a really interesting. It's an interesting thing that I see between the men and the women. And here's what usually happens. So Esther, I'm going to tell you what I tell all my girls, and John gets to hear it all. The guys are usually in dance class because of their women. They want to please the women. They want to impress the women. They want to, show their peacock feathers. Now, in your culture, men have been encouraged to dance. Yay! But in white culture, the men have not been encouraged to dance. What are you? What's wrong with you? Why are you dancing, little fag boy? I mean, that kind of crap they've heard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the Latino population, they're all about dancing. The Asian population, they're all about dancing. Black Americans, they're all about dancing. But you get the white boys and like, oh shit. Right? And they feel like morons. Like they're scared because these guys have built companies, they've built families, they've built homes. They are statured in their life, except in dance class. And they're like, I'm here because my wife wanted me to come to dance class, right? So what happens is that the guys go off with Renee and go learn their stuff. And I say, ladies, come around, come closer, come in, let's talk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I tell them. I said, we have to remember that they're here because of us. And we need to remember that this is a skill that they are not familiar with. We girls have been encouraged to dance since we were little.
Yeah.
Wear the tutus, get your little booty going. Like when has a girl ever been discouraged? What's wrong with you? Unless you're, part of a faith that is like, no dancing. It's like, right? So I say to the ladies, look, what we're going to do is we're going to go a little over the top. We're going to go, ooh, 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 good job. Good leader. Good leader. Let me rub your shoulders. Good.
Stepping on your toes, right? Yeah.
What's really funny is I'm like, okay, ladies, praise your guys. 1, 2, 3, good leader. And so like the ladies like, oh, good leader. Good leader. And the guys, they know that we are over the top. We're just laying it on thick, and they laugh. But
it encourages them.
Guess who comes to dance?
Good. Yeah.
The men come to dance class because they know that we're going to get silly. We're going to allow them to learn because it's like riding a bicycle, or it's like learning how to walk. And if you look at a baby and say, what are you? You can't even walk by now? What's wrong with you? Is that baby ever going to walk properly? Because like there's going to be a bunch of anxiety. So we have to lay it on thick. Now there is another side to it. And Jon, of course, this won't happen with you.
Hmm.
Sometimes the guys start getting their knowledge up, and then they think they know it all.
Ah.
Well, I did it that way, and she didn't do it. Well, honey, because you didn't lead it very well.
Got to bring them down a couple of notches.
You've just been in class 5 weeks, okay?
Right. But it is really interesting because I wrote my little book, What Dancing Taught Me About Running a Successful Business, based off of the fact that through connection, through timing, through technique, through teamwork, through all these things, these are the same things in business as we do in dance. And so I had that like epiphany, right? And even though we've been dancing for, God, I've lost track. How long have I've been dancing West Coast Swing for 15 years. I feel old. But we've been teaching for 10. And you know what's really interesting is, and I'm sure you guys have seen this in your, and I'm using this story to relate to other topics.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that when you study something, you study.
Yeah.
You think you know it all. Then you go to the next level and you're like, oh crap, I don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
Study some more. You go up another level, crap, I'm down in the bottom 20% again. And so Renee and I will even attend beginning classes because I want to see how I can improve myself as a teacher.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Same kind of thing when you are an expert in something. I'm sure you see it in child development all the time, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's good though. That's a good correlation. You know, it's a good correlation too to how, you know, that helps bring people together, bring that connection together, that whole development piece. And yeah, that's really good. That's really good. I
Yeah.
know we love to dance. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell our leaders, you know, and this is, you know, our concept as well. You've got to be prepared to learn from a 5-year-old, and if you can't receive truth and for lack of a better word, some instruction that you know is right and truthful from a 5-year-old, then you're not teachable. And if you're not teachable, you'll never go beyond where you are.
Yeah.
Ooh, good one. Good one. You know what? By the way, I'm thinking of like a couple of dance teachers we know that are fantastic. How far away are you from Washington, D.C.?
About hour and 45 minutes.
We looked at, I know one of the places that someone told me about was in DC, but it's about an hour. When he drives, it's about an hour and 45 minutes.
Okay.
Remember, I was Air Force, so we fly.
It's all good. Okay, if you want to, we'll introduce you guys to Marcus Smith and Trent Beal because they are beautiful dancers. Oh my gosh, they're hand dance champions, and they're also West Coast Swing champions. And man, can they move! And they're so wonderful. I had the pleasure of dancing with Marcus. I had a smile this big. It was like, yay.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely said that was something that we really want to do. Something for us to do, you know, together. And because we just think that's important that you do things together, that it's your space. You understand what I mean? Because it brings connection, you know, and that's what I think is key to any marriage, of course. Of course, during COVID with the kids home, one of the things that we've always did, guys, is we always did time for us, and we always did family time with our kids. And so
all of our kids are adults now.
Yeah, they're all adults, and now we have two grandchildren, and our son and his wife are about to have a third one. So yeah, and so but what we will do for our date night now, because we really can't go anywhere, and we've just been doing family night with, you know, and the kids will say, okay guys, it's movie night, what are we watching? And you know, the adults will come in and say, okay, what are we watching for movies? I guess what's really cool is that our adult children really they want to be around us, and I think that's kind of cool, you know, as well. And like I said, we're transparent. When we're getting on each other's nerve, they know it, because they're like, oh, okay.
We don't have kids, but we have a cat.
Yeah.
Cat knows. The cat knows.
The cat knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do have those moments. Let's be real. You have those moments when you are on each other's. It's just one of those days. Like, look,
You get those.
fall back. Or
When I said that Renee is a unicorn, he really is. I married a man who is of another world, and I'm so grateful.
yeah.
When I can get my tensions up high, he is unflappable. He's just Mr.
Yeah.
Calm
Yeah.
all of the time, and God bless you, baby. Like the other day, I was having technology issues. Like I was on the phone for 4 hours trying to straighten
That
out.
was one of those days when it rained.
It was
like
raining challenges.
one
It wasn't
thing
literal
after the
rain.
other.
It was just like, and my level of frustration, I had to throw something. I ended up throwing my wallet across the room. I was just like, "Rah!" And he came out like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Leave me alone." But I had to let them
The
know.
cat ran under the bed.
Yeah, even the cat ran away. Like, oh, I was pissed. But I have to also, as soon as I'm done with my outburst, I'm like, this isn't about you. Thank you for checking in on me. This is not about you. I just have had it. And another blessing, he's never raised his voice to me ever. He's always been Mr. Calm. And then, God bless him, he finds the solution to the problem for me because he knows that I'm seeing red and I can't solve anything because the emotions are just too high. So yeah, he kind of married a hot one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's just Jonathan does the same thing, Jennifer. He's the calm one, and when I'm like seeing red and I can't find something, I get frustrated. He'll be the one to go and.
How do you know, Renee, when to solve the problem or when to listen? Just listen.
I look at the cat. When the cat comes out, I come out. No, I can get a pretty good read on her. There's a moment where she's definitely a lot more. The frustrations like, at a boiling point.
Yeah.
And it lowers a little bit. So, plus it's a matter if it's technology. If I do it,
Technology.
I get on Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is
yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress, right? You learn each other.
Yeah.
You're learning new things every day, and if it's a new problem, then that's something that hasn't been faced before. So it's like, okay, we'll figure it out. And
Thank God for Google. Google is saves our marriage.
Grace, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, he does the same thing. Okay, let me see if I can resolve it. What's wrong? He tries to resolve it. And then sometimes he tries to listen. Sometimes all I need for him to do is listen. I think sometimes he still tries to figure out the listening and the resolve,
Yeah. Still trying to figure out, should I?
Should I?
Yeah, keeps me on my knees. Yeah.
Hey, isn't it cool though? I mean, seriously, I love this conversation. I love how real it is. Oh my gosh, you guys, I would sign up for every single class you two taught. I would sign up for that challenge just because I think it would be fun. And then we're going to get you guys dancing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
We're ready. We're ready.
Definitely. Every once in a while. Well, what was it? A couple of weeks ago, we were supposed to have a dance party in the house with the kids. But what happened? Did I go to bed? I think I may have went to bed. And so, because sometimes they like to do things like way too late. I'm like, okay, no. I'm too old. You guys do it.
Right? You're like, I'm done. And something fun, I will say, when we dance together, I fall in love with him even more. So so it's a really sweet little thing. And I don't know if you guys have seen our little Facebook posts dancing. You may not have.
I have. I did go on your Facebook page. I did. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you see a couple of our little dances?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. We're silly. We're having some silly fun. And
it's good.
And it's kind of a hoot because what's happening is it's the craziest little thing. We're doing this for fun. This is what's going on in the dance world. And it's just like churches. It's just like childcare. There are a lot of people out of work, professional dance instructors who are like, I got nothing. There's no competition, so I can earn my money through lessons and competition winnings. My studio's closed. and again, we're so fortunate, knock on wood, that we have a marketing agency working with auto repair shops that are recession resistant.
Yeah,
I
that's
count
great.
blessings with my alignment of choice of career every day. Doesn't mean that that's a totally impenetrable and unfallible and unfailing. I'm trying to find the words. It doesn't mean it won't work sometimes, but you know what I'm saying. For the most part, we're sustaining, and we have low overhead, all these different things. But yeah, it's we're just doing the dancing part for fun. It's the hobby that pays for itself.
Yeah.
And so we're getting in there and dancing because some of our friends were giving us crap that we weren't dancing. Here they are, they're on COVID lockdown, they have no partner, and they're like, what? You guys are just working, you're not dancing. We were like getting shamed. And I was like, all right, fine. Because we even had an episode of Marriage Plus Business. We were like, you know what? We're just so focused on work right now that we're just going to shelve dancing. And I'll tell you what happened. This is the funniest thing. I went into, we converted our garage into a dance studio.
Yeah.
We did this little dance. I heard some music and I was like, oh, Renee, let's dance. And I kid you not, this had to have been like the fourth dance in a span of like fourth at all in like 2 months. And he led this move, which really isn't a difficult move, but because my body had conformed itself to the dang chair, I was out of shape. And I fell flat on my back, like that floor hit me pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it. I was like, I'm out of shape. Oh my God. Like, this is not good. So I was like, all right, that's it. We're going to start dancing. so
Every
now we're
day.
dancing regularly and we're videoing it for fun.
Oh,
And
great.
he's really starting to develop some amazing video editing, videography, like all kinds of skills that we're actually helping with our marketing business. Like the last had butterflies all over it. And he did one where there was fake rain like coming down in our dance studio, you know, a little CGI
Stuff
kind
like
of deal.
that's fun to play with the video to put up
Yeah.
because it's
kind of stuff.
part of our it's part of our fun and playing. But you know, we have this aspect of our life that is centered around dance, which interacts or overlaps with these circles of friends that also dance, and so there's this dance community that if we can just continue to in some way shape or form show that we were thinking about dance, we just want to put our joy and love out there because that's first and foremost why we dance. You know, the dance business that feeds us per se, but it feeds our love, our soul. So we can keep putting that out. So in a sense, it is partly business to just keep top of mind awareness, you know, that we're around. But it's also, like Jen says, has helped me working with just a small amount of video editing skills, which is a viable skill to have when you're offering video editing services.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, luckily, you know, we can overlap all these joys that we have between dance and performance and creativity and design,
right?
And put it out there in a package that really kind of serves multiple purposes.
Yeah, that's good.
Which if you can do that, it's just like the icing on the cake. To take what you love, be able to put it out there, have it benefit multiple ways.
Yeah, for sure. And creativity is really the thing that bonds us together the most. We're both creatives, and we get to express it. I can't draw a stick figure, but I can write till the day is done, you know. And he surprises me how dang good of a writer he is. I'm like, dang it, he really is a Renaissance man. There's nothing he's not good at. I'm like, really? So, but it sounds like though that creativity is also a real important aspect of your own history. I kind of want to dive into something that Jon said earlier. You were in this rigid, you know, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, you know, for all these years, right? And then, retirement, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did you? And you said you got a little like more creative. So tell me, what is your creativity like individually, and then as a couple?
Individually.
Was it cooking?
I write sermons.
That's you, right? That's
right. But so my background is, of course, military and security, and so I thought that I was gonna go into being a police officer. I went to the university, started working at the university, and waiting for them to bring on their police department. And
Oh,
and while I was waiting, I was doing public safety, waiting for that security. And in the middle of all of that happening, I injured my wrist and wrist, and they wanted me to do dispatch. I'm not a dispatch guy. I couldn't be out, kind of on the move. I can do it, and I can do it well, but that's not what I wanted to do. So I needed the freedom. So I started taking real estate classes and got my license, and did that transition. But had that not happened, who knows? Which direction I would have gone.
Right.
So the again, like I said, the fluidity and the flexibility, came from, and I needed the flexibility because I was in ministry, and I wanted time to spend with, to have for counseling, for the congregation, for family, for all of that, right? And so real estate helped me with that flexibility, and Esther at the time was in corporate America, and so we worked that out pretty well. My creativity is.
You're a good writer. Yeah.
An editor.
He's a really good editor. When he's ready to edit, he's a good editor as well. He's a good writer, and I think that his we can go walking, and he does really good analogies with nature and that type of, you know what I mean? And so he's just really good at that. I would tease him, and I would say, oh my God, you can get a message out of a dime dropping on the floor or something. I mean, it's like,
that's a gift.
Yeah. And so he's really creative in that aspect, because anything can happen, and he could come up with a whole message and really bring the spiritual aspect and the natural aspect, and how you could put it together and live out in reality. You understand what I mean? And so he's just amazing with that. When, like, for me, I'm thinking, okay, well, the dime that fell on the floor. Hello. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just that dime. But he could just come up. But then when he's done, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I sometimes I'm amazed. I'm like, oh, wow, yeah. That makes sense. I can see that. Yeah.
I tell people at our church that everything natural has a spiritual connotation.
Yeah.
Right? So you can actually relate everything that happens naturally to something spiritually that God may be trying to show you or reveal to you, that sort of thing.
So that's really his.
That's why I love nature.
I love what you guys do. Oh, I wish we lived closer. Oh my gosh.
One day we'll get to Delaware.
Or are you doing your services online? Can we visit you online and be part of it online?
Mm-hmm.
They're on Sundays.
Wait a minute, hold on. Here's the qualifier. How early is it on a Sunday? We are 3 hours.
It's really early for you.
Well, it's 3 times though. It's 3 times.
No, it's 10 a.m. here, so it would be 7.
1 p.m. 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And then 6 p.m. Yeah.
We're stay up till midnight.
Yeah. So there's those 3, 10, 1, and 6. Yeah.
So 6 would be your 3, right?
Yeah, 6 will be your 3. And it's roughly probably about a 45-minute service sometimes, because it's all online, and we don't want to keep people very long online, So yeah.
I think this week is about 35? 40?
I think this week was about 35 minutes.
Have you found any silver linings and good things coming out of COVID for you two?
Oh yes, definitely.
Well, number one, you said it, creativity. You have the choice to sit on your thumbs and let life happen to you, or you can, become creative and happen to life. You know what I mean? And that's what we chose to do. So we chose to do something with the time that we have, with what's in us, and to share that, with, well, ultimately to share it with the world. You know what I mean? So yeah. That's
Definitely. Yeah, I think a lot of people are complaining about being at home. And honestly, yeah, for me, there was a nice silver lining in COVID because we were on the go so much that it stopped everything. And so getting rest. And once I was over like the getting the rest and all of that, then I just really began to get into action, kind of pivot. And so while, not, while there's challenges in terms, I have colleagues who've lost their loved ones, and all of those that have really been affected by COVID. We had a parent, we haven't had any staff members, but parents who have been affected, by it. And so in that aspect, my heart, everything, I'm there and however I could support. But for us as a family personally, it's just really been a blessing. We're always saying how we want rest. And I just think God is saying, listen, I'm going to put everybody,
and time together.
And so the time that we have together to talk, to even spend with our adult children,
They don't want to leave home.
that when y'all leaving, but and so
They would be like, I don't need to leave, do I?
yeah. And so really even able to focus a lot on coaching, focus a lot for me, focus on just really beginning to build up my coaching business, something I've always done, but now I'm just really focused on it, focus on some of the things like with Susie, with Lisa Nichols. And so I'll be coaching for her. And just getting to do those things that it just really helped me to sit back and, working through a coaching certificate right now with NLP coaching. And so in those aspects, COVID has really helped sitting down and really looking at marketing and just really looking and not going too fast with it, but just really looking and trying to get that whole understanding of everything. And so that's really kind of like what it's done for us, I think. And just, I'll be honest with you, I'm so good staying at home, the time, like I said, we're on our deck relaxing. We don't get to do all of that very much because, you're just always on the go. I'm so grateful that our services right now are online because it just really allows me to just even spend my quality time with God instead of getting up and you understand what I mean?
Sounds like it's going to be difficult for people getting to the building.
And so, I tease and I say, yeah, service is online and I'm on time, every time,
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, that's the silver lining for us is that we choose to, and again, it's what you choose. So we choose to really look up. We choose to really find the blessing in all of it and just really appreciate it. And so, and that's really kind of like what we encourage everybody to do while all these things are happening. And, like I have a good friend of mine, she's one of my mentees, as a matter of fact. And one Saturday she's talking to her dad. The next Saturday he's passed away from COVID, And so, and talking to her and saying, okay, well, let's look at the, but she's doing well because, we call and check. Tell me what's the silver lining in all of this? How
What
can
you
you,
learn?
what do you learn? How can you still maintain your peace and your joy despite, of course they couldn't have a home going, they couldn't, because of all the rules. And so dealing with that, but then making sure that your mental and your emotional is still intact because your father wouldn't want you to be distraught. And so looking at that. And so it really takes, how do I find that silver lining? And again, it's a choice and you have to decide to make that choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. I could talk with you all night long, but I recognize that it's getting late. So how do we find you both? How do we share your business, share your real estate, share your church? I want to know how to get in touch with you if I'm watching this little video and I'm like, I love the Grahams. I must have more Grahams.
So for the church, it's Reset Church DE for Delaware.com or Reset Church on Facebook. So yeah,
Nice.
that and
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
ResetDE.com.
Yeah, Reset,
Reset
RESET
Church.
Yeah,
DE.
.com, or on Facebook, it's Reset Church. It has the big R. And
Okay.
it says Milford, Delaware.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're in a little town.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Little town
Okay.
with- yeah.
What's your real estate
Yeah, and real
information?
estate is John for Homes.
John for Homes.
John
that-
Jon, the
Jon,
number 4.
the number 4.
Number 4, Homes.
Oh, smart. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
.com.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is your specialty? Residential, commercial?
Residential. Yeah.
Residential.
Because I focus more on I do list homes, but I focus more on buyers because I really enjoy working with first time
goody.
buyers. It's really rewarding, for me, to
Yep.
see wide-eyed, people that come around the second time, the third time, they're kind of like, okay, yeah, we've got this.
Yeah.
Right? For sure.
Yeah. So I love that.
Love that. And then Esther, what about your child development centers?
So mine is MilfordEarlyLearningCenter.com.
How do you spell that?
MILFORD. Early Learning Center.
Ah, okay.
.com. And then for my coaching, it's got stuck. What is it? It's FDD Women, FDDwomen.com.
F as in Fred, D as in Della, B as in Vera.
Della. F as in Fred, Della.
Donna.
Because it's Festa Della Donna. So it's FDD Women, WOMEN.com.
Ah, okay. FDDwomen.com. I love it. So much stuff. You guys are amazing. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see you guys online in your church service. Seriously, I'm excited.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be fun.
Join us.
Join
Yeah.
us.
But thank you for having us. This was great.
Thank
Good
you so much.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was,
Yeah.
I'm super excited to start dancing too, because I don't know how to follow very well.
That's okay, baby. You'll learn. It's all good. In fact, you know what? It's something that because we all women are usually, we especially when we've danced on our own for so long, it is hard to let go of that leadership. But then when you finally give the leadership role, it's really kind of freeing. Like, it's not my fault anymore. And
It is.
one like, oh, I can relax.
I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it because you're going into it with a mindset of we want to do something together and to connect. So that's always a really great attitude to have going into it. And like anything else that like we've talked about tonight, think of it also in a certain way as like a project in that there's aspects to it that are for sure fun. You can smile and laugh at each other as you're learning because the learning process can be very messy with
and
something
fun
that's new.
and funny.
But revel in that, but also understand that like because it is a project, there are certain aspects to dance that there's like you're learning and there's homework for both for her and yourself, John. So there's aspects of what you're learning that will apply to you as an individual that you want to make sure that you take to heart and learn and understand, what is your role so that you and how to make it fun for her and vice versa, how Esther can make it fun for him. Because that's kind of what the analogy I once heard by one of my teachers, and I thought this was so like really cool to digest in one way, is that the follower lady is looking for someone who can provide fun but can also provide a certain amount of security Whereas the leader, the man, wants someone who's just really gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Just kind of let go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's a good analogy. Yeah.
yeah.
That is
Yeah.
good.
It's a fun project.
Exactly.
It's a fun project.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
And then
Oh.
you can go for a late night snack because you're so hungry afterward.
There you go. Go out for a shake and fries.
Nice snack.
Listen, when we used to work out together, lift weights, because he used to be into bodybuilding.
There you go.
So did he.
Yeah.
I love it. These guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he used to,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. And he even used to compete, right?
Yeah.
Look, there you go. There you go. Yeah. And
Awesome.
but we would every time when we finish working out, that's exactly what we go do, guys, is go eat pig out.
Right? You earned that In-N-Out burger.
Yes, you
Tell you what.
did.
Yeah.
You earned that fried whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. I used to
Yeah.
like really,
Well,
really.
Dancing might just be your new workout. It'll be fun.
Good cardio.
It is a great workout.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not in the same shape that we once were, but yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Not were we. So, I hardly go to the gym. Okay, I don't go to the gym. I was gonna say I hardly go to the gym.
I do push-ups.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm doing 22 push-ups per day for 22 days because I was not challenged. What's the word? I was nominated because 22 vets commit suicide every day. So that's
No.
65 minutes, and it's the 22 push-ups for 22 days is to bring awareness to that. So I'm in the middle of doing that now. I think I'm on today would be day 16, and so I try to
So
mix
maybe
it up and do
you'll have to
different
challenge
types. Yeah.
Renee.
Show us your guns. Show us your guns, John.
Guns.
Look, he's gonna show him. Look at that.
Oh.
Hey, baby, it's all about built to go, not just built for show.
There you go. There you go.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. So
Oh,
true.
yeah.
So true.
So,
But yeah, this has been great, guys. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. I
amazing.
can't wait to actually physically hang out with you guys. Seriously.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that as well.
Truly. Thank you so much. And I guess we'll just wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for watching our Marriage Plus Business. I hope you fell in love with Esther and Jon Graham just as much as we have. This was a blast, and I hope you guys got some really great tips about how not to kill each other, how to dance through it, how to do some push-ups through it. Just push. Want to dance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk
Truly.
through it, whatever it takes, right?
You guys are amazing.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll put all the contact information in the description. We love you all. Thank you so very much. Mwah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Yay.
Everyone, thank you, guys. Thank
Thank you.
you. Loved it. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a good night, guys.
You too. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.